Everybody knows now. Let you go down. What is going on, guys? It's Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a lot of information in a short amount of time, so stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Remember, nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else on the show, including our wonderful mods. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Before we get started, I just want to let you know you can follow along. We actually take the time before every single show to load up a bibliography of all of our sources, so you know exactly where you got your info from. And again, this also has all of the videos, all of the pictures, anything we're going to show you, you're going to have access to. Again, you can go back to this. You can follow along with the second device. This is all on marfooglenews.com. Very easy to find. Just look for this thumbnail, pipeline back on. But what's next? Of course, talking about now they say that they have 3 new victims. They said last time they would be more selective and not affect society so much, but who knows? One thing that we have to talk about today, of course, is the fact that they shut down half of our country's infrastructure with a hack. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment here. But down below, there's also going to be web-only content. There's some fiery stuff down there today, especially. And then, of course, on the right side of the page, if you do want to support us in any way, such as using our Amazon link, you can click on the box there, or any of our affiliates. Again, you can actually protect yourself against EMP and CMEs with something like an EMP Shield. Again, that is how the military is protecting themselves. Why aren't we? All right, let's get started and introduce my co-host / internet brother, Dex. What is going on, and how are you today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So we have a lot to cover today. Cover. That's the word I'm going to use there. It says the gas stations run dry as pipeline hack will take days to fix. Now, this is actually updated. So now we have an update, and it is actually that they just started up, right?
Yeah, right. This news was just before, and they just started the pipeline up, but that still doesn't say that the problem's fixed. It's actually going to take a lot of time for it to, recover from the problem. So I think what we're seeing right now is still going to happen for a little bit.
Now, one thing that I want to say as well here is that the gas stations in the East Coast, everybody is still tweeting that they're still out, so this is going to take time to fix. Now, they said that they reportedly are not going to pay them, or they didn't pay them, so we'll talk about that here in a second. It says that gas stations along the U.S. East Coast are starting to run out of fuel as North America's biggest petroleum pipeline fights to recover from a cyber attack that has paralyzed it for days. It says 4 days into the crisis, Colonial Pipeline has only managed to manually operate a small segment of the pipeline as a stopgap measure and doesn't expect to be able to substantially restore service before the weekend. That ended up actually that has started, but they are saying that part of this, I have heard that they're saying it for investors' reasons and saying that it is now starting and resuming, but it's not at all like, what us as the public thinks as resuming. So they're just now getting, the basic things started up again. I don't understand how this happened. Now, this was a ransomware, so they took information or they took stuff and held it for ransom. Why did everything stop? Did they, were they able to actually control it physically? That I still haven't, quite have been answered. Or
yeah, the question I have on that, and what I understand, and I'm not 100% on this, is that they took over a lot of the business aspects of the computer systems, a lot of the IT infrastructure. But what that really makes me think about is like the not necessarily operational, like making the pumps actually work, but probably how do they bill out and how do they manage and collect money for the flow of that gas from this provider to that provider, et cetera, right? And if they don't have a means of reconciling that, they're not just going to allow liquid gold basically to flow out the pipes with no control over it. So it may have been more of a financial thing that they said, hey, let's shut this down. That's the question I have. Because if they went into the business computers, the IT section, and that's what they grabbed, then was it really just a financial issue that they didn't let it flow? Or do we just not know yet? And maybe the government stepped in and said, turn it on. We'll take care of whatever gets lost financially. I don't know. That hasn't been announced.
Yeah, because if they physically turned it off, you would think that they would be able to override that. But so again, that makes a lot of sense. If they were able to stop the actual system that allows them to take payment for this gas, it goes through, I'm sure it's measured in many different ways, and then that measuring is how they get paid. If there is an issue with that part of it, then they would not be able to get paid. So think about this too. Whatever this may have caused, as far as, small disasters that it could have caused, if this continued all over money, with such a crucial system, you would think that, the government would step in. Maybe they have. It does say that Colonial Pipeline reportedly won't pay the hacker ransom, which, I mean, if it was, again, who knows what would happen if you had a company and you got hacked like this. These guys are big enough to where maybe they have the power not to, but it seems like most of these cases, they really get screwed when they get hacked. It says that Colonial Pipeline is aiming to restore its data instead of paying off the hackers who attacked the company last week. The Washington Post reported on Wednesday, days after the pipeline operator shut down its network and sparked fears of East Coast gasoline shortages. So not paying them was their option there. And then it says Virginia declares state of emergency and Atlanta gas pumps run empty amid Colonial Pipeline crisis. Now, 8 other states, I believe, or 7 other states at least. So we have a total of 8 at least states have declared that a state of emergency because of the amount of fuel that has been going around. It says that Virginia joins North Carolina in declaring a state of emergency over gas shortages over the Colonial Pipeline hack, and 20% of gas stations in Atlanta are empty as people panic buy. It says Virginia's governor has declared a state of emergency due to the East Coast fuel shortage, and gas pumps in Atlanta have run dry amid panic buying as the impact from Colonial Pipeline ransomware attacks continue to be felt. Here's what I want to get through to people, and this is something that I worry about with my family. If you guys are all, you are all just regular people like me, and we have to understand that there are groups right now that have the power to shut down entire parts of infrastructure in the United States. Not only that, with SolarWinds, whoever it may have been, whether it be Russia, whether it be China, whether it be another adversary, or whether it be some sort of operation done by 3-letter agencies, whoever it may be, they do have the power now to do this because our systems are all dependent on the internet. They're all dependent on computer systems. We are completely dependent on electricity and on the internet and this system that we've made. If it was 100 years ago, it wouldn't be the case. If you did something like this, it would be, regional, or it'd be in a small area. Now everything is connected. So the world of everything being connected is not necessarily a good thing. So experts say that, we're just waiting. We're biding time until we have an emergency that is far beyond anything we have ever seen before. So I just want to get it through to people that this is just a fuel shortage. Worst case scenario, you're not taking that trip to Hawaii, or you're not getting on that plane because there's a fuel shortage, or you're not going anywhere. If this was combined with any other emergency, say you had a tsunami on the East Coast for some reason, or if you had mandatory evacuations of the West or the East Coast, if you had hurricane season and people didn't have gas to get the heck out of there, that would be where this would really get dicey. The timing of this hack mattered a lot. So, there's other reasons, and I'm sure that not having fuel is a big deal. But again, most of us, most people just genuinely don't care, especially if they're on the West Coast or in the Midwest and they don't have a problem with this. They go to the gas station, they fill up. It's not an issue. People don't care. They're like, it's over there. It's this mentality that it's not happening to me, so I don't really care. That is most people's kind of look at this. And This is scary. This is absolutely terrifying that they shut down infrastructure like this. I mean, this is crucial to our economy, which could be crucial to the world. I mean, you're talking about the United States economy here. Whether you like it or not, the United States and the dollar is used for everything globally. So this has global effects if we are shut down. Not only that, it could cause civil conflicts. It could cause all sorts of things. Now, not this, but we're talking about bigger things than this. We're talking about hitting 9 different locations in the United States. Just 9 locations. Experts say you could knock out our entire power grid. If our power grid was knocked down, and again, we'll talk about how they accessed the, I think it was Black Start. Dex, will you check? Was it called Black Start? The plan for if we get shut down during solar winds. I believe
I'm pretty sure that's what it was. The other thing I'd like to add to this though, Adam, we've been told by the military, we've been told by the leaders of our military that the next conflict is going to be waged in addition to traditional ways. It's going to be very much cyber, right? So when you look at something like this happening, you have to question, is this a trial run? Is this a test? Is this actually an event that was specifically planned? And should it be considered a conflict, right? On one hand, it's oh, don't worry, it's a small hacking group that just tries to play like Robin Hood out there. Is it really? Or is it not, right? And these are the questions we'll probably never truly know the answers to. We're just going to be fed the information that they want us to know and that they release about this. But it is definitely a specific tactic you would see in a new type of conflict. And we've been told that's what's going to happen. And when we see it, I think we have to ask the question, even if this was a small group doing it, Adam, imagine what a big group like Russia or China could actually do, right? They could probably do 10 times more in a split second. That's
even a better point. So if this is truly a few guys in their basement that call themselves a group like Anonymous type thing, as far as like people go, we most people don't know all of the different hacking groups. This is called dark side, right? We don't know the difference between dark side and Anonymous and all these different groups that are around. Anonymous is probably one of the biggest. They knocked down banking systems. They did it. Imagine that's just that's a group of regular people, very skilled people, but again, that's a group. Now think of adversaries doing this. They could knock out grids like in Venezuela. So I think people need to get it through their head that so they told us that this was dark side, and my only question, and I'm just saying hypothetically, if this was an adversary, would they tell us it was an adversary, or would they tell it's a group like this? Because I just thought it was very, very weird that they came out and said, oh, sorry it affected so much. We'll be more selective next time. They said that this group actually kind of apologized for hitting such a crucial thing, and they didn't realize it was going to be such a big deal, right? How are they hitting the major Colonial Pipeline like this and thinking it's not going to be a big... Anyways, why would they apologize? Why would they... it would almost look like it was broken English, like so broken that it was like almost on purpose, so you get this idea. And they purposely didn't infect any computers that had Russian language as the first language on the computer. It's like, really? So they basically said, hey, we're Russians. This doesn't make any sense. Oh, so they have a heart, though. This Robin Hood group who also, that makes people think, oh, it's Robin Hood. Everybody likes Robin Hood. Everybody, it's a story that, it's one of the few stories where you like the criminal, right? So when people hear this story and they go, oh, it's a Robin Hood group, they immediately have this seed that's been in their head since they were a child and say, this is a good thing. This is awesome. This is cool. Wow, that's cool. And even though the people that are pissed gas out and whatever else, but they're not afraid. They're not afraid of this. They're like pissed off. Oh, these punks did this, right? I think that this is only the beginning. This is just, people really have to wake up at this point. And, like the woman who called in and said, my husband's starting to come around. We hear that all the time where it's like a family member. People think that you're kooky for having extra stuff. How many things have just hit us in the last 2 years where it's like, why haven't we been more prepared before this? What about all the stores in the United States and all over the world running out of stuff? You saw firsthand, almost anywhere that's watching right now, empty shelves. We hit that point, and that was not even a real. That was based on people's fear and panic buying, just like this gas thing, right? Imagine when the real thing occurs. Right now, I see a lot of fake information getting spread around by. And you know what's so funny is I was told 2 years ago that a military member said that he overheard these talkings of people from the UK. What is it? Not KGB. The MI5 or whatever. Ex-agents basically infiltrating this community from UK, and they said that that they were talking about this, and they said, yeah, it's perfect. Basically, that they would imitate actual people that are in this community, but again, part of their they even like practice it down to the point where they were doing studies on who do people trust most, and they found that people trust people with a British accent. I just thought that was so crazy. And that these people would be imitating this, saying crazy stuff to then get everybody else kicked off. I thought that was just amazing. And just recently somebody pointed out a couple things to me, and I was like, wow, we kind of have that going on right now. So I would be very, very careful with the kind of stuff that is happening right now. I think we are seeing a full-on conflict, and we don't even know it. We are right at the precipice of something massive. And I've been running this show for 3 years, and I've never seen so much kind of chatter behind the scenes. This is getting absolutely serious, and people are still going to say, oh, it's crying wolf. You guys are going to meet the wolf. And hopefully you have your ducks in order. Colonial announces pipeline restart, says normal service will take several days. So again, that's pretty much the whole thing right there. It says holding tanks at Colonial Pipeline, Charlotte Tank Farm in Charlotte, North Carolina. Colonial Pipeline says that the company has now restarted. It says the Colonial Pipeline initiated the restart of pipeline operations today at approximately 5 p.m. Eastern, the company said in a statement on its website. Following this restart, it will take several days for the product delivery supply chain to return to normal. It says Jennifer Granholm, U.S. Energy Secretary, tweeted that she had spoken to Colonial CEO about the restart. So this is now they're restarting. It's going to take several days. I honestly think most people are just going to write this off and say, okay, this was a cyber event that affected our infrastructure. We cannot stop repeating that. This is exactly the stuff that we've been looking for 3 years. This is digital, and it is affecting real life stuff. It's not, it's not just, what do you call it? This isn't putting just fake information out there. This isn't disinfo. This is real life effects that's going to affect your daily life. And there's much worse things that can happen. Just like we said a couple weeks ago, there was somebody who hacked into the water supply, and they added a chemical that's normal in water supply, in public tap water, but they basically turned it up to absolutely dangerous levels. Luckily, somebody was there and watching it, and they turned it back down, or they stopped it, and they made sure that the water was safe before it went out. But if they didn't notice that, an entire town would have had poisonous water. Think about this. That's not even the worst. I don't think people understand how bad this actually can get. And we've been talking about this for 3 years. There's a reason why we work with who we work with. Bobby Bolin says, I have a buddy that works at Colonial. He told me last Tuesday that the pipeline was going to be hacked. Sure enough, Friday the news comes out. Bobby Bolin, there's no way to confirm that really, but if you are telling the truth, that is pretty scary. Again, take that with a grain of salt. No offense to you, Bobby, but we have to make sure we're careful about what we're saying. Marlene Welch, thank you so much for supporting. Thank you. Bobby Bolin, it wasn't a hack in his opinion. They are covering up a major leak in the pipeline, is his opinion. It's been leaking for over a month. Bobby Bolin, that's even a crazier idea there. Black Blood, think in terms of energy, frequency, vibration. Tesla. Quote there, thank you for supporting. And then DM Walken says, thank God I'm going home tomorrow. DM Walken, thank you for stopping by. Salute to you. And then Little Red KS, thank you so much for your support. RE55 says, filled up my vehicle and 20 gallons in cans equaled $120. The pump stopped at 25 gallons. Had to put my card in again and get 10 more gallons for cans. Thanks, Marf and Dex mods. Thanks to all the Foogle fam. So 20 gallons, 20 times 5 would be 100. How much was the gas? 20 gallons in cans. 20 gallons at about $4 would be $80. You're saying it equaled 120. That's like $6 a gallon. That doesn't make sense unless they're putting. You know what? If you guys have the
plus the car.
What was that?
Well, would it be plus the car? Whatever you put in the car.
No, he's filled up my vehicle. Oh no. Filled up my vehicle and 20 gallons in cans. Okay, that makes sense. So he put $40 in his car, and okay, I get that. Because I don't know. On the East Coast, they could have $6 gas right now because of the shortage. I don't know. In fact, if you want to tweet at me, at Marfoogle, tweet me what your local gas is. The price is where you are. I would love to see the difference between West Coast and East Coast. And then Able Body, thank you for being the last one out last night, says, you're in Dex work is worth so much more. Y'all are getting us ready. God bless y'all, Fugos, and this channel. Well, thank you, and able-bodied again. Thank you for being the last one out. Sir Budrick shows you why Gilly Bates LOT is a bad idea. Huh. Bobby Bolin, you've definitely thoroughly interested me there. So it says that the hacker group behind Colonial Pipeline attack claims it has 3 new victims. This is where it's like, okay, who are these new victims? And is this a setup for 3 more huge infrastructure affecting things to be shut down? It says the hacker group DarkSide claimed on Wednesday to have attacked 3 more companies, despite the global outcry over its attack on Colonial Pipeline this week, which has caused shortages of gasoline and panic buying on the East Coast. Over the past 24 hours, the group posted the names of 3 new companies on its site on the dark web, called DarkSide Leaks. It says the information posted to the site includes summaries of what the hackers appear to have stolen, but not appear to contain raw data. DarkSide is a criminal gang, and it claims to be treated as potentially misleading. It says the posting indicates that the hacker collective is not backing down in the face of an FBI investigation and denunciations of the attack from the B admin. It says it also signals that the group intends to carry out more ransom attacks on companies, even after it posted a cryptic message earlier this week indicating regret about the impact on the Colonial Pipeline and pledging to introduce moderation to avoid social consequences in the future. So maybe they do have a heart, right? I don't know who these people are. Maybe if this truly was like a Robin Hood, my suggestion, if anybody in that group is, if you truly are, taken from these global conglomerates and giving it to people, freaking get it and go give it to just regular people on the street. Just throw it out the window at people. That would definitely make news. Cover your plates and just start throwing moolah. It says that the U.S.-based company is a technology services reseller based in Illinois. DarkSide claims to have stolen more than 600 gigabytes of sensitive information, including passwords, financial information, HR information, and employee passports from it. So that's kind of a setup right there. It's talking about HR, and think about it. What does HR do? What do those groups do? The employee passports and things like that. That means that they can give somebody they can possibly go in and give somebody a whole background at a company. When you have a humongous company, you can add 10 employees, say 10 sleeper cells from other countries or whatever, and then give them a background, when they were hired, how long they've worked there, awards. You could say that they've got the best employee of the month for 4 months in a row, and on a huge, gigantic conglomerate, nobody would even notice. Oh, they just transferred in from another city. Oh, cool, and they're a ideal employee, and they have top security clearance. Their maintenance for all these different buildings. This is the same kind of entrance that they had into Louisiana and Florida last year. We had a lot of weird hacks that got into very specific places where they could actually get into making passes, making keys. Think about this. All of the the crucial infrastructure has just regular Joes doing, union work or something like this. There's maintenance people that have access to secure areas, extremely secure areas, and they go in and they clean the machines, or they go and do this. Think about if you were able to hack in and give say somebody you wanted access to a building or access to something. Say you could send somebody into the Hoover Dam after hours when nobody's around and no security checks, and go right in the middle of that thing. Who knows? They could bring in something and boom, there goes Hoover Dam and the city below it. This is why I say that it is important. This cyber thing is going to be a bigger thing in the future. We have not seen our first massive worldwide disaster yet. I hope people are listening. How the B admin could step up warrantless spying on Americans using private firms. Before we get into this, I definitely want to recommend, if you have not yet, we actually jumped on to one of EMP Shield's contests. So before we get any further, make sure to go check it out. If you have never heard of EMP Shield, or if you're new here, or if you're a Foogle fan that's been with us a long time, you guys know why we have a partnership with these guys. We actually believe in the event of a hypothetical situation or a very possible situation, this will possibly save lives. Again, if you want to actually protect yourself against an actual EMP, in fact, all three phases of one, you can go to marfooglenews.com/EMP and get the same protection that different three-letter agencies, military bases are doing, and of course, DEMSO, the Texas team protecting the Texas grid, is doing. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. And right now, again, for the next week or so, you are going to have the contest as well. There's multiple ways to enter, including daily bonus entries. You have to go to marfooglenews.com/contest. If you want to enter, you could win, I believe, a device of your choice. So you could either pick a car version or a home version or a generator version, whichever one you need most. Again, there's multiple devices. You can even protect your ham radio or even your solar system. Nobody thinks about these things, but when we do have a huge event, it will definitely be good to have protection against this. All right. And then I just can't say any more about how I don't think people are going to realize until it's too late. They're going to be hitting the side of the head with a brick. How the B admin could step up warrantless spying on Americans using private firms. Dex, do you want to talk about this? You are our tech expert.
We just talked recently about this strange warrant that went out that allowed I guess the FBI to just randomly go into any company's email systems because of this email hack that was out there, right? And they had the ability to go in and make certain changes, but they couldn't do certain other things. But it was very broad warrant, basically saying they could go just about anywhere. So what they're saying now is that, on the heels of that, it seems like and this is a very long opinionated article. You guys can go read it, but it's pretty interesting along the lines of how this can expand and how we can sort of think about some of the privacy rights we lost, say, back in 2001 with new policies that came out. Well, some of these things are happening now. You take, give an inch, take a mile kind of thing, right? Where, this ability to spy on, companies or or get more of a warrantless information out of companies, systems, and even Americans is where this is sort of going. So it's kind of a crazy thought.
You know who these suspected DTs are, right? You know who these are. They say the biggest threat is, just regular people that lean to this direction a little bit too far, right? We've actually had our VP and our Prez say that people with this color skin that lean to this direction, that basically are racists, that is our biggest threat in this country. Just saying that probably offended somebody out there, but I'll say this. Are they doing surveys on how many people actually think that? Where do they get this information? Where are the stats? That's all I want to know. Because I think our biggest threat is in a different country and mass producing drones and, weaponizing space. Just saying. Now, I'm sure that there's a few horrible people that are like that here, but this does not... I don't see it. It says a new conflict on domestic is fraught with risks and curtailing constitutional rights for Americans and giving sweeping new powers to the federal government, warned former CIA. Dex, they're talking about going into computers, going into platforms like this and looking at everybody.
Exactly. And it's interesting because it's pretty far down, but if you get to the Snowden section, I sort of love the quote he had in a tweet. It's indented in there past his picture.
Okay, let's read this.
You might read the paragraph before it just to get the setup.
It says, let me get this. It says, in addition to this, no one can no longer trust the federal intelligence agencies and their proxies to obey the rules in their investigations, given the recent FISA court review has indicated that the FBI and NSA continues warrantless spying on Americans, the CIA veteran states. It says the FBI is out of control and is not being held to account. It says the reality is that the internet has created a wealth of information that previously was only accessible by intelligence organizations. Now private companies can do more prying and spying than the CIA and the NSA. Have you ever heard of LifeLog? Look up LifeLog. Let's hear down here. Commenting on the CNN report, Snowden tweeted, CNN says the White House is discussing a new plan to expand domestic warrantless surveillance of Americans by paying private companies to infiltrate and report on the private social media groups that it categorizes as suspected extremists. So they're talking about maybe getting in on something like, what do you call it? Telegram or something like that. Do you think that they would go after those social platforms? And would those social platforms let them?
I don't think some of those platforms will let them, especially the ones like Telegram that are outside of the U.S., but definitely the ones that are inside, like the Book of Face and other platforms like the ones we're talking on are certainly going to do whatever the government asks them to do.
And the Twitch shits? Gotcha. So
you see that next line of his, though, right after it, when asked.
Let's see here. When asked, what if they actually are extremist, Ed? The former NSA contractor responded, well, a previous group of extremists gathered in 1776 to contemplate that issue and arrived to a solution that seemed okay for the previous 200 some years. Come back with a warrant. That is a perfect response. I knew that they weren't, when they got caught, the entire world looked at the U.S. and said that this is a worldwide crime. Every country was pissed off at the U.S. because when Snowden came out, whether you think he's a hero or a traitor, what ended up coming out of that is that they were spying on other countries with other constitutions and everything else. They were able to access cell phone cameras on the president of France in his bedroom while he's with his wife doing wife and husband things. Think about being the president of France and going, wow, some twerp at CIA or NSA was looking at me and my wife. And they were. There were many instances where there was no oversight of what these agents were looking into. They could find anything and everything. We're talking about connections and blackmail on anybody and everybody you knew. If they couldn't blackmail somebody, they could then go into their close family, like their daughters, and then find something in their daughters' cell phones or in their electronics or even pictures of them. I even heard stories of and this is alleged, the NSA going after foreign leaders, could not get any dirt on the foreign leaders, then went after, say, something like a daughter, took pictures illegally from their phones or from their laptops, and then threatened to put those pictures out if they didn't do the action that they said to do. That is alleged. Again, I would love to ask Snowden what he thinks about that. But we found out that, and the whole world was mad. Because that's what's happening right now, and it never stopped. After that happened, the whole world got pissed, and then they said, oh, we're deleting all these call records. Early in my channel, it wasn't even that long ago, 2 years ago, they said NSA is deleting 600 million calls. You can actually search that in my previous videos. And they said, we're deleting all of it. So if you're deleting it, what system is going to take its place? Now we see it. It's the social media. The social media over the last just few years has absolutely conquered everything. We're talking to the most powerful groups in the world. It's incredible. So let's talk about this ransomware gang. It says DC police won't pay $4 million demand, begins leaking files. So there's actual leaking files popping out. Is that right, Dex?
Yep. So just like what they announced with the 3 companies they found, but that they recently grabbed, but they haven't released the data. Typically, what happens is they say, "Hey, if you don't pay us, then we're going to release the data." Well, in this case, now they're starting to release data with this previous hack with I think it's DC.
So this is just the start of all of this. We did this to ourselves. We put everything digital. We put all of it. We let this happen. We let everything go digital. We let everything switch over to this because it was convenient. It's not going to be so convenient when everything, anything and everything is no longer private. It says the files leaked thus far, according to Vice, surround background investigations on nearly 24 officers, include psychological evaluations, polygraph responses, supervisor interviews, their credit history, information about their home, their social security numbers, date of birth, personal emails, home address, phone numbers, their driver's license, financial details, and their handwritten signatures. The group followed up with the second post on Tuesday, which included screenshots of what were alleged to be negotiations with officers spanning from late April to this past Monday, alongside a message stating, "You still have the ability to stop it." It says the chats purport to show Babook demanding $4 million from the department in exchange for not releasing their files to the public. Tell me how you decided $4 million for this, the police allegedly asked. It seems extremely high for a public sector entity. According to the screenshots from the group, DC police countered with $100,000, which Babook rejected. It says our final proposal is an offer to pay $100,000 to prevent the release of the stolen data, the police allegedly wrote. If this offer is not acceptable, then it seems our conversation is complete. I think we both understand the consequences of not reaching an agreement. We are okay with that outcome. Maybe they don't know what they have. Maybe they thought $4 million because they had some stuff on some officers that would not be good during this current climate. But I think the people upstairs are okay with that because that's part of what is going on right now. They're letting a lot of this stuff come out, and it's part of the plan, I think. $100,000. I'm surprised that they even responded and said they would give them $100,000. Maybe that was part of their setup to try to catch the guys or something. But that's incredible. Then we have horrifying videos shows mice raining from the sky as biblical plague sweeps Australia. Now, again, if you actually have home video of any kind of story that we show you here, if you are in Australia watching, because we have a lot of Australians that watch, if you saw this, or just in general on any story that we have, if you have video of this, make sure to go to marfooglenews.com, and at the top there's a tab called Play My Video. You can therefore upload your video, and we can play it here on the show. It says a stomach-churning clip of dead and live mice falling out of the air has left viewers horrified. Australia has been gripped by a huge rodent plague of biblical proportions in recent weeks. ABC journalist Lucy Thackeray shared a clip from Tracy Jones of just how bad it's got, showing mice raining from the sky when a silo was being cleared out or cleaned out. It says dozens of dead and live rodents began falling along with the grains, causing their bodies to pile up on the floor. It says some of the four-legged creatures managed to run off, but the pile quickly builds up with dead rodents. This was part of one of the screenshots from it of these rodents basically flopping down and falling from the sky. It says the clip was shared on Twitter and has already attracted hundreds of comments. Even if grains in silos, mice can get to it. Like Tracy Jones discovered in Tullamore when cleaning out the auger, and it started raining mice. Ms. Thackeray captioned the post. People were horrified, but what they were seeing. It says one Twitter user wrote, "I keep thinking the mouse plague footage can't get any worse, but then it does." So these mice just plopping down from this tube here. It's pretty disgusting. It says this is the worst thing you'll see all year. And a third penned, hear often about raining cats and dogs, but never raining mice. How horrible. One user said if it wasn't on video, it would be hard to believe. What a nightmare. The mouse plague has led to farmers demanding action from the Australian governments to combat the unending numbers of mice. More and more. That's so disgusting. This is in the food. Farmers say it nearly caused some of them to lose their entire summer crops and are being pushed to the limit. Clips of locust and mice crawling on crops are being shared online as the creatures scatter in all directions after being spooked by landowners. Farmers are asking for a financial aid package to help prop up their farms after suffering a terrible drought over several years, which has finally come to an end. But the flourishing fields that came with the summer rains have helped the rodents thrive as well. So this video is available and more on our website, marfooglenews.com. It is not for the faint of heart. It's pretty gross. You definitely want to go check it out, though, if it's something that you want to see. Again, more than screenshots, you can go over there and check it out at marfooglenews.com. And then we have Mind Over Matter. Brain chip allows paralyzed man to write. This is pretty futuristic stuff here. This is a paralyzed man. Paralyzed from the neck down, the man stares intently at a screen as he imagines handwriting letters. They appear before him as typed text thanks to a new brain implant. It says the 65-year-old is, quote, typing at a speed similar to his peers tapping on a smartphone, using a device that could one day help paralyzed people communicate quickly and easily. The research could benefit people suffering spinal cord injuries, strokes, or motor neuron disease, said Frank Willett, a research scientist at Stanford University and lead author of the study published on Wednesday. It says, quote, imagine if you could only move your eyes up and down but couldn't move anything else. A device like this could enable you to type your thoughts at speeds that are comparable to that of a normal handwriting or typing on a smartphone. Existing devices for those with paralysis rely on eye movement or imagining moving cursor to point and click on letters. It says, but Willett and his team wondered whether thinking about handwriting letters might be another way for people to express themselves. The theory was not necessarily obvious, as handwriting is a much more complex action than moving a cursor from point to point, but the researchers found that handwriting generates distinctive brain activity that proved easier for an implant to detect and a computer program to interpret and translate into text. It says the research involved a man nicknamed T5, like the Terminator, I think, who was paralyzed from the neck down after the spinal cord injury in 2007. After being fitted with this, sensors transmitted the signals to a computer for translation by an artificial intelligence algorithm into typed text. It says T5, this gentleman, painstakingly imagined handwriting individual letters and copying out sentences so the program could identify which brain activity patterns indicated which letter. It will get better. Over time, T5 was able to produce 90 characters or about 18 words a minute when copying sentences, and around 74 characters or 15 words a minute when replying to questions. They did it. They did this. We are about to see brain implants of all different kinds in our lifetime. So I hope people are waking up that some of this is probably not a good idea. Some people say, "Oh, well, it's the new stuff. You got to go with it. It's evolution. It's this." Artificial intelligence and brain implants are going to be a thing. And where it crosses the line is if you can control something from an implant, can that implant then control you? They're going to make it look cool. They're going to make it look like everybody's got to have one. Just like a cell phone, the cell phone is primitive compared to what's coming next. Imagine being able to just sit there and access computer information through your eyeballs. That is already being worked on. The first ones are in the form of contact lenses. But comes next is actual implants that lets you see things. Think about driving down the road, we're not going to be driving for much longer, but think about driving down the road and Maps is giving you directions and you're actually seeing an altered reality or augmented reality arrow telling you to turn down the street. These are the things that are not only coming in our lifetime, but are coming in the next couple of years. If you think I'm exaggerating, go look at the studies and the research and the actual experiments that are happening right now. It feels like the world governments are getting ready for a massive evolution of humankind, and they're about to make massive changes, and not all of them are ones you're going to like. So I hope people are paying attention. Dex, are you down for implants?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Like I on one hand, I want to say we are going to need them to survive. And on the other hand, I'm scared to death about what can happen with them if used in a bad way. And when I say need them to survive, I just think it's basically how are we going to compete with AI, right? How are we going to actually evolve in a way that we can, compete with that? Otherwise, if we don't, then that's just basically an end game right there.
They also say if anybody remembers the movie Robot Jocks from long time ago, they are working on that right now as far as actually building these things. Doug82 says DLive just tagged you as mature. For what?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Let's see here.
So the mods came in and said we're mature. They flagged it as such, and I'm talking with our rep who was shocked.
Oh, because of one story here? Let's see here. Yeah, this is about oh, I could see that, but no. That's yeah. Okay. And then let's see here. Dark side, yeah, I don't see that either. Well, thank you guys for letting me know. Doug82. Oregon Girl, thank you for the diamond. Let's see here. M. Menching says, long time. Thought I would give you a ride. LOL. Fueled by lemons. M. Menching, thank you so much for the Ninja Guinea. Carolina Roots, thank you for the diamond. Did I tell y'all I love y'all? Kelly2334, warning from D-Live. Thank you. I appreciate that. D-Live posted in your chats wanting something done. Okay, well, thank you. I get that. Again, we've been pretty complacent and communicative with them, so they always do a good job trying to watch that. Lisa K23, thank you. Let's hear Vault 111. I appreciate that. Let's say Pearl, old lady who loves your show. Don't ever stop. We've got Oregon Girl 65. I can't tell you how much I love y'all. Dex Mods and all. Asking God's too much. What is so funny is we have not had an issue on YouTube for over a year, but it seems like we've actually had more issues. I guess, D-Live is still trying to figure out their system, which was really quite a shock because it all started, that January thing. They had to fix a whole lot of stuff. But it's actually easier to go on YouTube right now because they're actually totally laxing on a lot of that stuff. In fact, YouTube has not been really at all. We've not been marked for like 2 months on any of our stuff, at least, like that. So that's very surprising. Brandon Fugel fam, thank you so much. Dixie Doe, Mary XX, thank you, Forrest Farmer. We've got I Love Beagles, Carolina Roots, Priscilla R, Dex J, thanks for popping in there, and Hopkinson, I appreciate that. Looks like we have Little Red, 1973, and 15 others just followed. Thank you so much for popping in. And then Doug Zielinski, appreciate everything you do. I truly do believe we are in end times. Saw a massive convoy in Illinois-Wisconsin border last weekend. Doug Zielinski, if you ever get video, make sure to press the power button twice on your phone and snatch it. Send it to marfooglenews.com, play my video. Benjamin Shepard, PSA in case of EMP or CME, watch for falling airplanes. Pretty sure there's thousands of planes in the sky at all times. Benjamin Schlepper, I always wondered that. So they show in movies where an EMP happens and commercial jets fall out of the sky. I don't know if that's a real thing. But it would be a very scary thing. They said that there's an actual highway in the sky. There's millions of people in the sky at all times during a normal day. So that would be pretty freaky. Gina NY, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate the $5 donation. And then if you do want to write something, you can always do that next time. Gunpowder Production says, thanks for the shout out last night, Marv. Appreciate that. No worries. And then Total Vagabonds from Europe says, every day brings a crazy new drama. Mad World, thank you for everything you do for us all. Thank you, Gone Girl 777, wherever you are at. Okie Drummer Guy says, I keep stocking up food and water every week. Sir Budrick says, IoT, Internet of Things. Thank you, Sir Budrick. You knew I missed it. Thank you. And then Benjamin Shepard, again, thank you for your support there. Stephanie Montgomery, I appreciate your support. We are truly independent. We do not have a multi-channel network. You guys are our backbone. So thank you, everybody that goes with our affiliates, everybody that supports us. Out of a 2-hour to sometimes 3-hour show, we usually have less than 10 minutes of our affiliate ads. So, people complain about that, but that's, I don't even know what percentage that is. It's like, that would be, what is that? 1 hour, 10 minutes out of 60 minutes. That would be math.
So it's less than 5, dude.
Yeah, it's less than 5%. Right?
There's a guy who sometimes edits those and looks through everything. Yeah, it's not that much. It's far less than you would see on any other television programming.
Exactly. Well, I could say that if there's an ad on the replays, we can't control that anymore. You know that? But you can skip those, right? But like sometimes the videos, they'll put like 8 ads on a video, and that looks bad for me because everybody's used to the creator doing that. Now they'll put them we can take them out, and we do. Dex, how many times have I told you to like look at? I'm like, dude, I think they put 13 ads in there, and I'll have you remove them. It's crazy, because now
but they've changed things up now where you've been played an ad, even if it looks like it may have 3 or 4 coming up soon, then they won't play them again because you've seen one. So they're getting really good. I say they, I mean YouTube. It's getting really good at managing that ad flow, so it's not so annoying, right? I know they plop a lot in sometimes, and you think there's going to be a lot, and then it really isn't.
Well, and then again, for after last year, they actually made it so on demonetized channels, they can still place ads, and the creator does not get the profit from it, which is pretty crazy. All right, and then we've got and then before we get started, speaking of the 10 minutes or less of affiliates, it helps us every single time you guys go to one of our affiliates, including NordVPN. If you want to protect yourself, I would highly recommend getting a virtual private network. It hides your IP address, which is basically your online identity. Not only that, this can actually protect you by using public Wi-Fi. If you ever use a Starbucks Wi-Fi or Target, or if you're in the store, most of the stores actually make it almost impossible for you to get cell phone service, so you log into their online Wi-Fi. Again, but if you do that, you can do it through NordVPN, and you're much safer. Again, it also prevents data logging. It protects your data while traveling in public, in airports, coffee shops, and such. Again, this is one price, up to 70% or more off if you use our code, and it helps us, and you can use it on 6 different devices. So you can use it on your laptop, your significant other's laptop, your kids. You can use it on your cell phones. marfooglenews.com/VPN. Thank you guys for supporting us, and thank you for, again, doing that.
And Adam, that sale that they were running where you get that extra year for free, I think that's good for a few more days. So if you guys haven't heard it or didn't look at it, go look at it before it's gone. I don't know when they'll bring it back, but I know I think it expires around the 15th.
Okay, I'm glad again, Nord is such a huge company. They've got these things. I didn't even know that. I know that we announced it like last week or 2 weeks ago or something, but thank you. All right, and then Tyson blames underperforming roosters for U.S. chicken shortage. Wow, what a under the belt comment there. It says underperforming roosters that aren't producing as many chicks are partly to blame for the U.S. poultry shortage. Or at least that's according to these guys. It says the Springdale, Arkansas-based company, one of the world's largest producers of poultry and other meats, said earlier this week that it's struggling to ramp up chicken supply because the new roosters it's been using for fertilizing eggs and breeding new chicks simply aren't hitting expectations. We're changing out one type of male that, quite frankly, we made a bad decision on, Donnie King, president of Tyson's poultry business, said Monday on a conference call with analysts. It says breeding companies provide hens and roosters to chicken producers like Tyson, which then breed the birds and hatch their eggs to produce poultry. Tyson owns one of the major breeding companies in the U.S., Cobb Vantress. It says, to get to the point, it says the hatching crisis hit Tyson in January after it introduced the type of rooster that it's now getting the boot. King said the breeding problem could be responsible for as much as half of Tyson's problems meeting demand for its chicken. So that's why part of the reason you are seeing chicken is getting more expensive. It's getting harder to find. There's been periods of a few weeks where locally I could not find the frozen bagged Tyson chicken because they just weren't coming in on shipments. It wasn't because of CV. It wasn't because of anything else. It was because of they're not producing. They're not sending stuff out. Almost all groceries and all different products are seeing a huge increase when, of course, people are making less and working less. It says inflation speeds up in April as consumer prices leap 4.2%, fastest since 2008. It says inflation in April accelerated at its fastest pace in more than 12 years as the U.S. economy recovery kicked into gear and energy prices jumped higher, the Labor Department reported on Wednesday. It says that the Consumer Price Index, which measures a basket of goods as well as energy and housing costs, rose 4.2% from a year earlier. A Dow Jones survey had expected a 3.6% increase. The month-to-month gain was 0.8 against the expected 0.2. So we're actually seeing much more than we thought, and I bet you it's going to keep going.
And this is the first time the Fed has actually said it, right? The whole inflationary thing. Everybody's been saying it and saying, why isn't the Fed saying it? Why isn't the Fed acknowledging it? They've actually acknowledged it now.
Yeah, which is very, very rare. This can affect the market. It can affect everything when they actually come out and say these things. So who knows? We might be seeing some other big changes happening here soon. All right, and then we have the escalating Middle East violence bears hallmarks of 2014 Gaza conflict. So if you've been following this, there has been a streaming back and forth between Palestine and Israel, and both of these are basically sending stuff back and forth. It has not stopped. In fact, this is just the beginning, is what Netanyahu just said. It is definitely getting hotter here. And this is most likely the worst since 2014, and some say it's going to be worse. Now, I was actually just watching the 700 Club last night, or this was it? I believe it was last night at last night's show. If you saw that show, it is crazy because I realized that 700 Club covers actually very similar stuff. Then it reminded me of something like our show would cover, right? But they were 100% in support of one side, and I believe they have to be because they are a Christian network, right? But on the other hand, why? I guess it's really hard to talk about in any kind of communities because some people support one country or the other no matter what because of their religion. One thing I don't get is why more people aren't looking at like the leaders like Netanyahu. There's definitely shady stuff going on there. Do you support him because he is the prime minister of is? That's my question to you guys. How do you guys look at that? Maybe put it in the chat. How do you go about this? It's so divided too.
Well, the one thing that hit me today was in watching some of the footage, which is all over Twitter, and we've got some of it on our website. You don't even have to think about the sides. Just put yourself as a common person living in a city, either side, and seeing what's happening, and just try to think that you're going to live with that, and that's going to be your day today, or it's your day for the next 100 days or 10 days or 400 days, however many it is, right? Like it's pretty tough when you watch some of those images and just think, wow, and we hear about, far off lands of, turmoil that happen in deserts and things like that. But these are big major cities, and this is going on, and people, kids are going to school and people are walking the streets and they live in high-rise buildings, and, that kind of stuff's just going over and over and over again on both sides.
Well, so this is one of the comments, and this is, again, something we're paying attention to extremely close. Netanyahu vows to inflict blows that Hamas has not dreamt of, after saying this is only the beginning. So the world is looking at this because this could become, obviously, a world conflict if it happens. Most people are so used to these two countries going at it that they think, oh, this is just normal business. But with everything else happening all at the same time, with several events that we have no idea are connected, that we don't know if they are connected, there's been several weird things that have happened between these two. There's been weird things that have happened just in general in that area, that is almost looks like practice runs for some stuff. It says the first retaliation by Tel Aviv against overnight rocket barrage has taken out several top military commanders of the Palestinian group. It says during his visit to the hospital treating those wounded in 11 May overnight rocket strikes, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed that Hamas would face even more retaliatory blows by his forces. It says, quote, "This is just the beginning. We'll deliver blows they haven't dreamt of," Netanyahu said. The Prime Minister's warning came as Hamas admitted that several of its top military commanders were taken out in the Israeli strikes carried out in response to the massive rocket attack on Tel Aviv and other cities in Iz that left 5 people perished and 200 injured. It says the IDF's retaliatory strikes in turn took out 43 Palestinians and injured 300 more. And by the way, Iz has the Iron Dome defense system, basically rockets that knock out rockets. So we've seen videos of that. We have tons and tons of videos on our website as well. If you want to look at that from yesterday's show, and then of course today's show, we have even more stuff. It says that Iz is heading for full-scale war. UN warns. Is heading for a full-scale conflict. UN warns as clashes between and Arab spark civil conflict in one city. 36 Palestinians and 5 Israelis now perish as Gaza is bombarded and Hamas rockets continue to fall. Again, this is by Daily Mail in the UK. It says the United Nations has warned that is heading towards a full-scale conflict as the Air Force continued pounding the Strip this morning in retaliation for hundreds of rockets launched by Hamas. Stop the fire immediately. We're escalating towards a full-scale conflict. Leaders on all sides have to take the responsibility of de-escalation. Tor Wensled, UN Special Envoy to the Middle East process, tweeted. So all of the massive leaders, Middle East leaders, are all saying that this is not your usual thing. Some of them are saying that this isn't just your typical exchange, that this is in coordination with other countries, and that this is something that is inevitable. So those are some pretty big words to be used, especially inevitable. So if this does get worse, where does that put us? That's the big question here. Shannon Cook, thank you so much for subscribing. Joyce Mitchell, thank you for subscribing right now. Zodiac Freak, thank you for subscribing as well. Campson, Jeremy Pauly, Lisa Benham, Emmanuel Juarez, and Isaiah Michael, and Samantha Taylor. Thank you for subscribing just now. If you do subscribe during the show, you will get a shout out. Thank you so much for doing so. And then Total Vagabond from the beautiful Emerald Isles. Thank you for your support there. Again, Total Vagabonds, I appreciate that so much. Barrages leveled tower blocks in Gaza last night as the death toll rose to 36 Palestinians. It says, including 12 children and 3 women, health officials in the territory said. Another 233 people were wounded. So, there are tons and tons of videos on our website right now. In fact, I'll just go right here. There's actually 3 related tweets here. So here's one. Let me make sure. Let me make sure the sound is off for this one. These are, of course, very close to impact, and almost looks like they're going down deep. So this is really happening. There's plenty of proof on social media of massive events going on both sides. So we'll be watching this closely. If you want to see this video and more, you can go to our website. This is newborn babies in a reinforced hallway in Israeli hospital. So this is basically like a bunker part of the hospital, and they're all sitting here during sirens. I would say, don't take anywhere where you are living. If you're in Australia and you're in Europe, if you're in somewhere that is safe right now, we all take it for granted that we just have it normal. Even if you are in a rough situation, it's most likely not the same kind of thing. It's not a situation where, of course, you have missiles going over your head. All right, now we're going to end this with something funny. This is This does have a tiny bit of language here, but nothing.
Well, now we're mature now on DLive, so it's okay.
Okay, so showing up to online court with this screen name. Well, even regular can play swear words on DLive. That's what's funny. They just say if you don't say it 20 times. Okay. So it says showing up to online court with this screen name. And the judge calls him out.
Good morning, sir. What's your name?
Me?
Yeah, you. Yes.
Nathaniel Saxon, sir.
Your name's not Buttfucker3000, you yo-ho. Logging into my court with that as your screen name.
Why
I'll
would that?
discuss that in a little bit. What kind of idiot logs into court like that? Good morning, sir. What's your name?
Me?
Yeah, you. Yes.
Nathaniel Saxon, sir.
Your name's not Buttfucker3000, you yo-ho. Logging into my court with that as your screen name.
Why
I'll
would that?
discuss that in a little bit. What kind of idiot logs into court like that?
That was
What's your name?
that was a courtroom, a digital Zoom courtroom, and as you saw there, Nathaniel Saxon logged in. Well, I wonder though if that was like his kid's laptop or something. You know, was that somebody else's computer? Oh my gosh, you can see on the closer video, if you guys want to go watch this, it's on marfooglenews.com. You can see everybody is either covering their mouth or silently trying to not laugh or crack up. He logged in as Butteffer3000. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, we have to learn new things with Zoom now. Everybody's got to be careful.
He probably didn't even know.
It's probably all the people that have never used Zoom. That's probably what it is. You've done it once, you figured it out when your name shows up.
But did
and
he
it's not
call
your
him
name.
did he call him a yole hole? He said
Something like that. Yeah, I was trying to figure out that
He
slang.
goes, "You yole hole." Is that I don't know what that is. Either way, there's a lot more content on the website. In fact, this is all the stuff that would normally all of the stuff down below here is the stuff that should be tagged as mature, not the news from authoritative sources. So again, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. Dex, thank you for hosting. Tomorrow night we'll have calls.
Much love.
Every other show will have calls here at 224-400-MARF. Thank you, Camson, Jeremy, everybody that just joined us. Again, I appreciate you. And then everybody over on DLive, thank you for being here. Casey Lynn, 33, thank you so much. Lady Mel, Jacktronics, Iggy Mom, Eventual Descent, For the Glory of Christ, Akarushi, we've got Oregon Girl, Dixie Doe, Mary XX, Forest Farmer. Who are our top three today, Dex?
Okay, the top three. Number 3 would be Emma Menching. And number 2 is Kelly2334. And in the number 1 position on DLive, thank you so much, is Oregon Girl 55.
Oregon Girl 55. Well, thank you so much. And then Brandon Fuglefam, I appreciate that. Kevin Fuglefam, thank you. Don't know where you're at today, but I just, again, similar name there, so I thought I'd say hello. I Love Beagles, Gone Girl, Veteran Steve, End Times, Amy R., Kelly2334, the Dream Team there, Susan Donahue. Thank you all for being here, and thank you all for joining us. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro. If you're new here, it's where I say thank you to the people that matter most. It's basically a corny credits with all of your names in it. All right. Have a good night. Be safe. Be prepared. Cam's in. Productions, Lena and White, Benjamin Shepard, and Doug Zelinsky, Stephanie Montgomery. I appreciate you. I've got the dog of at the bone. Everybody wanna throw bones, do it every day. Everybody really wanna go down, and I know everybody wanna what I say. I say, I drop it down. Ignorant no difficulties. I see what I wanna see. Now I got my mojo hit off the sound now. Now they gonna go and label us mature, even though we not. I say, oh, you know where we go. Everybody wanna go see down the way. Hey. Not feeling it. Sorry, you guys. I'm still a little bit bummed there. I just, for how much we've supported DLive as a whole, and, you know, out of all the stuff that is just put out there on this very platform, it is just really, I don't know if this is some like off thing to be labeled as mature, but I mean, we're not getting problems on YouTube, and to get problems on DLive, that's just like, that's pretty incredible. We've had just so many of my people have had issues so far, and I've always chopped it up to, you know, they're having issues just updating, and they're all trying to make it better. We are very friendly with them, and they have done a really great job up until then. I just hope this was a mistake, because honestly, I mean, it's like, if we cover one thing with a president's name in it, we shouldn't, you know, we're not even having that problem on YouTube anymore. They've officially come out and basically let everything back go. So I just hope it was a mistake. I really do. I hope that maybe someone that's not familiar with, you know, us, whatever, and that's fine if I'm sure, but that means new people can't find you. That's
Yeah, I looked over the rules. I didn't see anything. It looked like we were fine. I mean, and I reached out to our GP rep, and he was sort of like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And he's going to go take a look too. So.
Well, I mean, and by the way, so what you guys donate to us, we actually, we've passed that along, and we don't have to. We support a ton of creators. People don't realize, but, you know, people will say, oh, they get so many donations. We give out a ton of donations. We literally support, I mean, thousands of channels at this point, financially. So it's like, you know, to keep this ecosystem going, which I love DLive, I really do. And so it's, you know, it's got a lot of content right now that's, you never know. I mean, now it's like freedom of speech as long as it's tag mature, but, you know, don't tag us in so I in fact, there's somebody who does similar content to me. I don't think he should be tagged in that category. And we don't even get along. But I don't think he should be tagged in that category, because this is commentary on news and events. Unless you are like, you know, starting up an army of you know, far left or far right people, then yeah, I think that should go. Or if you are just straight up being, you know, something controversial, but we're not. So anyways, kind of ruined the vibe there, and I hope it was a mistake, and I'm sure it probably is. Maybe it was something automatic or something. Again, the YouTube gates have opened up again, so it's just, you know, I'm hoping that they can get through this hump after January 6th and fix everything. But you know, we're not associated with any of the groups that got booted off. So, and neither is somebody that's, you know, also GP. So anyways, thank you guys. Have a good night. Let's turn on something more funky. I wasn't feeling it.
As I walk on the dime, bringing back my own godly crown. Emmanuel Warres, Isaiah Michael, Benjamin Shepherd in the Tina. Bring it in, why bring back cleaner? Hold the vagabonds, Okie drummer. Going down, round, down the summer. All the mice blowing out pipes on. Going breeze, serve, bud, drink nice, y'all. Hey, everybody go fun. Bring it right back like number one. Organ girl 55. 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 Organ girl 55 going down hard. I love her, all of her, you fall apart. Oh, Nana comes in, at least I'm on him. Bring it on down like I got to get him. Oh, now 55 going down hard. I love her, Lisa Banana, Bogana, Bania, Lisa K23 gonna see ya. Binga, jinga, jingle and zinga. I'm Mr. Lunatinga. I'm Mr. Dibba I'm Mr. Dibba Binga, singer, go right dinga. Lisa K23 on me. Can't even find my side. Bring it down and on that shaft. And I'm going now. I gotta bring it down. Look, I'm not gonna get down on a corona. Gonna go down, take on my now. Gonna be up, big on back now. I'm gonna go back in the back now. Stewie CB on belt on the bear claws. Jenny F. Chandler kiss his side. Oh, now gonna visit our in-laws. Kelly 234, oh family. Bring it back now, so scantily. Oh. Meg B the 101. Peachy 1093. Ferry Spirit 2112. Maybe 3. Carolina Route 74. And the Priscilla R. And maybe I'm roving. I'm rolling down with my buddy roving. Now I'm showing. Now, Jim in the holiday kisses. Days on 78, never miss. But I bring it back down, all fit, all going back, edgy, wearing on the fit. Oh, now I make OKC fit on the Pam Beth now. Now, you won't go down. Cynthia Lynn, Stewie out, not bound. Oh, now, we the homeboy joy. Going down now, everybody destroy. Oh. Everybody really wanna go funky. Tell myself like beagles and don't get. Oh, gotta write that don't get. Lady on the mail with the bear calls. Upload 10 times, don't be tall. Everybody got a little bit of flaws. Ain't for the glory of Christ. I'm gonna be twice as nice. Pack some money, JT Walkers. Everybody wanna go get started. Now. Organ girl 55.